Friedman. Welcome to Africa's Brain Bank, the second annual fundraiser and meeting of leaders from across the globe. Before I go, I want to send a special thanks to my friend, Ambassador Lance Jones, and the board members of the Africa's Brain Bank for making this vision a reality. Please give to this most worthy cause, and remember, your donations are tax deductible.
I'm going to play a little video, and our chairman, Dr. Kumba, is going to introduce our keynote speaker. That speaks volume. Dr. Kumba.
Yes, fellow participants, after such a video, that gives you a glimpse of the gentleman that we're going to bring on soon. What other words can I add that will do more justice than what you just saw? As the chairman of the Africa's Brain Bank, the nascent institution that we are all witnessing today, it is my singular pleasure and honor, beyond what I could imagine, for what Africa has as its brain and potential across the globe. On behalf of the Africa's Brain Bank Board of Directors, its community, and its whole effort to bring African brains together, I am most humbled to introduce to you the President of Fraser Nation, Mr. George Fraser, as our keynote speaker for this second annual gala. Mr. Fraser.
Thank you so much. May God grant me the words to speak your thoughts today. Thank everyone who is on this call for being with us today. I'm honored, seriously, to participate and to serve. A special thanks goes out to the leadership, the organizers, the participants, the panelists, and sponsors for this historic gathering. to my good friend, Dr. Michael Roberts, for his gracious event leadership and his powerful insights. A special thanks to Chief Lance Jones, the ABB Global Ambassador, to Reverend Pam, the ABB Visionary and CEO, and Dr. Kumba, the ABB Chairman and President. There is little left to say about the digitation of Africa's educational system, STEM, the capacity for human intelligence so brilliantly articulated by the speaker who preceded me, and the future impact of technology. It was covered so well by the distinguished panelists and moderators and other illustrious speakers and contributors. So it is only my hope at this moment in time that my contributions for this charity event will reflect the quality of the content and the need to execute on all of the wonderful ideas and suggestions that have graced this stage. My goal simply is to inspire you with a 30,000-foot view of the insights and challenges and hopes ahead for all of us who are within the African diaspora from my vantage point as a 76-year-old elder, 31 visits to Africa, recently co-founding in Ghana the Obakesi University of Excellence and serving on the board of ADDI with Honorable Ambassador Arakana Chimbore Quayle. As we lead with ADDI, the new Wakanda project in Ghana, and 45 years of service to Black people. I've entitled my short talk, "The Time Has Come. We either rise or die. We do it through," as so articulately spoken, through leadership, through collaboration, through mentoring, and through coaching. Let me spend a moment on leadership. This is such a profound insight from our previous speaker. Let me define for you, from my perspective as a leader, what leadership is. I think in the 21st century, to be a leader is to be awake and alert and to be dissatisfied at all times. Yes, we have come a long way, but we have much further to go. Therefore, I am not happy, but I am motivated by a positive anger directed towards positive change. Leadership is influence. Who are we influencing? We're influencing our children, because if our children cannot see the future, they will not pay the price. Everything we do for our children, just as everything our parents did, they did for us. Leadership is action. It is not some appointed position. You do not have to be appointed to do right by your culture, to do right by your family, to do right by your community. Leaders understand that everything begins with words. The Bible tells us first there was the Word. And from those words, hopefully, we raise consciousness. We make people aware of certain things that they must act on and execute on. And from this raising of consciousness, people get excited. They get passionate about those words and about those ideas. Leadership then is action. And then action leads to change. Yes, there is a system for everything, and there is a system for change. It requires words, It must be spoken. Someone has to have the courage or the guts to speak them. They raise consciousness. That is the second thing. That consciousness excites people. And out of this excitement, people take action. That is the system for change. Leaders are patient and they are servants. So I'm going to put a pin in that. And I'm going to segue to my next topic, and that is about collaboration. Collaboration. Without collaboration, global collaboration, we will not rise to the pinnacle of excellence that is historic in our community. J. Edgar Hoover, the United States director of the FBI for 37 years, was asked at a major political campaign or political conference, I should say, in the early 1950s. And this is the question: what do you see as the single greatest threat to the United States of America? His reply was simple: Black unity. That was aimed, by the way, at the great Marcus Garvey. Hoover was correct then, and it would be true today. If 1.6 billion African descendants were united on the continent and throughout the diaspora, it would unleash the leveraging of $100 trillion of human, intellectual, and financial combination, in combination with greater control of the largest concentration of natural resources in the world in Africa. That alone could dramatically change the economic algorithm or balance of power in the world. $100 trillion is approximately 25% of the annual global economy. As a comparison, there are only 15 million Jews throughout the Jewish diaspora and world. And yet, of the $400 trillion of annual global wealth generated, they control the highest percentage, and Jews have the highest average annual household income of the 24 largest religious groups on a per capita basis in the entire world. They are brilliant, and they are a collaborative people. We too are brilliant. We are God's first people. We are yet to be as collaborative as our Jewish brothers and sisters. Africans throughout the diaspora, again, number 1.6 billion people, and on a per capita basis, we control the smallest percentage of global wealth, and we have the lowest household income per capita. Why? Because among several reasons, we are dispersed, we are disconnected, and we are dependent. This must change. This must change in the 21st century. Ghanaian President Akufo-Addo said recently in a conference with French President Macron, and I quote, "There is a global economic imbalance. There must be an economic and social transformation in Africa," end of quote. He is right. Brothers and sisters, the time has come. I believe that Africans in the diaspora are at a pivotal point in history. The world is not waiting for us to wake up to our power. It is time for Africans at home and throughout the diaspora to take their seat at the head of the table, not only in the diaspora, but also in the global economy. Unfortunately, collectively, we continue to place much of our power in the hands of those who have historically enslaved, colonized, and oppressed us. And even worse, we continue to oppress, abuse, and to exploit each other. This is the classic definition of internalized oppression. To continue this hypnotic trance of acting as though European structures, practices, values, and methods must govern our lives. If we are to advance, this is an indefensible abdication of our personal power, a rejection of our rich history, and irrefutable evidence of a serious mental disorder. Jomo Kenyatta said, and I quote, "When the missionaries arrived, the Africans had the land and the missionaries had the Bible. They taught us how to pray with our eyes closed. And when we opened them, they had the land and we had the Bible. The time has come. We must rise or we will die." In reality, each and every day is an opportunity to create a new, powerful, and progressive chapter in our cultural narrative. And unless we quickly find the courage to resolve and a way to begin this new chapter of showcasing our true identity, power, and potential, the global African family is doomed to follow the Western world in its accelerating downward spiral towards its ultimate and potential demise. In other words, there is no one to save us but us. Europeans will not be saving Africans at home or abroad. It has been over 400 years, and neither of us are saved. Kwame Nkrumah said, and I quote, "Colonialism and its attitudes die hard, like the attitudes of slavery, whose hangover still dominates behavior in certain parts of the Western Hemisphere." The fantastic news, brothers and sisters, is that as people of African descent, we possess an enormous untapped creativity, intelligence, and potential, and as individuals and as a collective network. The time has come. Malcolm X said, and I quote, "Nobody can give you freedom. Nobody can give you equality or justice or anything. If you are a man, you take it." Not until we decide to throw off the psychological chains of slavery and colonialism can we fully tap into what makes us great and what unleashes the legendary excellence in our culture. And only then will we return to our rightful places at the head of the table on the global stage. It is nation building time. We are no longer in the age of persuasion. We are now in the age of mobilization and unification. Dr. King said, and I quote, "Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step." Oprah Winfrey said, and I quote, "We cannot become what we need by remaining what we are." This is our moment. This is our time. The signals, the signs, the activity is clear. Ghanaian President Akufo-Addo, when you look at things that are going on the continent, he has spoken out forcefully. Ghana has provided easy travel visas to Americans and has granted the right of adobe and land to African Americans. Ghana has hosted over a record 1 million visitors in 2020, tapping into the large amount of travel dollars Blacks spend annually. Trips to Egypt and Ethiopia and South Africa and all over Africa have picked up as well prior to COVID-19. Nigerian President Buhari has spoken forcefully against corruption by creating new business opportunities. He is working on stopping the intellectual brain drain in Nigeria. The new Western African, which is 15 countries, ECO. It's a currency independent of the French franc. And this will make African currencies stronger and make trade easier. Rwanda President Kagame has completely turned his country around in just 25 short years. Three years of great work by the visionary and articulate ambassador of the African Union, Her Honorable Dr. Arikana Chimbore Quayle. There were strong signs that the views when she led the Pan-African Union, her views were expressed strongly, and I think those views are being felt by many leaders across the continent. She has gone on to create ADDI, the African Diaspora Development Institution. And finally, the change in leadership in Zimbabwe and in South Africa will bring greater and faster change. It is time, brothers and sisters, to connect the dots and to leverage more effectively our collective resources and intellectual capital. Mandela said, and I quote, "I have crossed famous rivers." What did he mean by that? He meant that one has traveled and in the process has gained much experience. I have traveled 10 million miles. I have gained much insight from my brothers and sisters across the diaspora and much experience. At nearly 77 years of age, again, I'm a proud elder, and I have been in service to African people for 45 years. Yes, I am a race man. And a race man or a race woman is someone who has committed their time, talent, and treasure to the upliftment and the forward motion and the unrelenting quest of excellence for Black people first, second, and last. I've spent my entire adult life reading and writing and teaching and leading. I say this with humility and joy. I am fulfilling God's purpose for me. And to that end, I've led the effort of building Black America's largest network of top Black professionals, business owners, and community leaders. Over 1.2 million people are part of Fraser Nation's digital footprint, and together they influence over 20 million more Black people in the United States. Yes, the time has come. Black Enterprise Magazine, a 45-year-old Black business magazine here in the United States, their data analytics in 2020 outlines the economic progress of African Americans. It's impressive now and still has enormous potential. The annual revenue of the 2.6 million African American owned businesses is over $100 billion a year and growing. The top 100 businesses do $30 billion annually, and they are employing about 79,000 people. The 2.59 million businesses left do over $70 billion, and they employ 3 million of our people. There are 15 Black-owned banks with $10 billion in assets. There are 10 investment banks at $1.5 billion in securities issued. There are 10 asset management, Black-owned asset management companies at $63 billion under management. management. There are 11 private equity firms at $55 billion in capital under management. The African American consumer purchasing power is $1.7 trillion annually. That would make African Americans the 16th richest nation in the entire world. The dollar value of the collective education, training, and professional development of the human and intellectual capital of 3 generations of Black people, Generation X, Y, and Z, and millennials, is over 1 trillion hours of formal education and professional training, which exceeds over $20 trillion in value, with 18% of Black kids with college degrees. This is not to say that there is a deep strata of African Americans that are still catching living hell here in the United States. But surely, at least 1% of the 46 million African Americans will find their way back to the motherland, and they will connect, and they will grow, and they will prosper, because they will learn, they will earn, and they will return. A village elder from Elmina, the village of Atankwa, nearly 400 years old. The elder told me and once said to me, and I quote, "Dr. Fraser, we sent you to the New World as a Trojan horse, but you never returned. It is time for us throughout the diaspora to return to the motherland. It is time, the time is now for those of us in the diaspora to return, to seed and to activate the potential of this critical need and movement among African Americans to collaborate with our brothers and sisters in Africa, to coach and to mentor, to contribute, to help build institutions in the motherland like ABB. We cannot write you a check for billions of dollars like China or Russia, but our goal is not global dominance or a global agenda. But we believe in helping you grow, and we grow, or as stated in Ubuntu, a beautiful South African saying, Ubuntu, I am because we are, and because we are, I am. We can't get where we're going without you. That's really what I'm saying to you. Let me repeat that. We cannot get where we're going without you. And you cannot get where you're going without us. The time has come. Again, as President Akufo-Addo of Ghana said, and he said it the best, and I quote him, "The destiny of all Black people in the world is bound up with Africa." And Nkrumah said, and I quote, "The forces that unite us are intrinsic and greater than the superimposed influences that keep us apart." End of quote. I use a Kenyan proverb. The thunder is not yet rain. It is not too late. This is the right moment to act decisively. We must think big. We must be big. We must act big and with courage. Benjamin Mays, former president of Morehouse College, said it differently. And I quote, "The tragedy of life is often not in our failure, but rather in our complacency, not in our doing too much, but rather than our doing too little, not in our living above our ability, but rather in living below our capacity." End of quote. Today, Let us agree that we will honor Proverbs 13:22, that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, that we will work together in an important pledge to work together. In closing, we must remember everything we do for our children. Our children are not our future. Our children are our present. And if we fail to give them what they need in the present, they will be ill prepared and we will have no future. If our children cannot see a brighter future, I repeat, they will not pay the price. Therefore, and thereby leaving them and those yet unborn unprotected. The worst crime an African can commit is to leave our children unprepared and unprotected. Please remember, there will always be obstacles. There will always be obstacles, right? One of my favorite quotes outside of the Bible is by Marcus Aurelius, one of the 5 great Caesars. And Marcus Aurelius said that the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Let me repeat that. The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Let me say that differently. The obstacle is the way. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. What is the first thing God does when he prepares you for an assignment? You get that assignment, and then God puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under the obstacle, to learn from the stumbles and the mistakes and the failures. And then when you get over that obstacle, you get an attaboy and an attagirl from God. And then he gives you your next assignment at a slightly higher level. And then what does God do? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and under that obstacle. And when we look back over our lives, that is the story of people of African descent. That is our story, overcoming obstacles. The great writer James Baldwin said it beautifully. He said, we are born, we suffer, and then we die. Well, what did he mean by that? He meant it is the way in which we manage our suffering, our obstacles, that will determine the meaning of the dash between the year you were born and the year you die. There will be obstacles, but we must eat obstacles for breakfast. Now, we can easily fix this. You ask why? Because our best is yet to come. Our best is yet to come. The New England Journal of Medicine 2 years ago, the first medical journal in the world, did a massive study on the 3 most productive periods in our life. The 3 most productive periods in our life. The number 3 most productive period in your life is between 60 and 80. The number 2 most productive period in your life is between 50 and 60. And the number 1 most productive period in our lives is between 70 and 80. The average age of a Nobel Prize winner is 62. The average age of a CEO of a Fortune 500 company is 63. The average age of the pastors of the 100 largest churches in the world is in fact 71. The average age, no, Mandela, think about this. Mandela became president of South Africa at 76. Moses was 80 when he got his assignment from God. Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, did not found McDonald's until he was about 60 years old. Toni Morrison, the great novelist, did not receive her Pulitzer Prize until she was nearly 60, and then held her Nobel Prize until she was 62. Frank Lloyd Wright, the great architect, built his magnum opus, the Guggenheim Museum on Fifth Avenue and 54th Street. I watched it being built as I was growing up as a child, running the streets of New York. He finished his magnum opus at 91. What does this tell us, brothers and sisters? It tells us that somehow God has designed our best years of our life between 60 and 80. The best and most productive years of our lives are between 60 and 80. This is when we do our best work. What does it mean? It means that if you're watching this and you're 0 to 49, you haven't done nothing yet. You don't know anything yet. You do not have the wisdom and the experience to do the things that we are discussing now. If you are 50 to 80, this is when we will do our best work. So I am optimistic. This is the best work. Finally, there's an old saying that there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. The African Brain Bank. Wow, the African Brain Bank. Think about that. Our time has come. To all of my African brothers and sisters, the idea of African unity, let me repeat that. The idea of African unity has been espoused for many centuries. But now, today, at this moment, in 2021, the time has come. We must learn, we must earn, and we must return. We must connect, we must grow, and we must prosper. I close with a prayer. May we always remember those who have gone before us. May we be inspired by their vision and their valor. May their lives continually remind us that service is more important than success, that people are more important than possessions, that principle is more important than power. May whatever we do be shaped and molded by honesty, excellence, and commitment. May our children and our children's children carry forth with pride the nobility of the histories that are represented on this call. To the Creator of all of us, by whatever name we may refer to that creator. We dedicate our lives to make our world better and more beautiful. I'm Dr. George Fraser.
Are we still? Well, thank you very much, Dr. Fraser. I know, if I may ask everybody to unmute for a second and give a good round of applause so we can hear you.
Okay, let me unmute them. Just give me a minute. Give me 1 second to.
Minutes. We all unmute.
No, give me.
If someone wants to comment or ask questions, I'm more than happy to take questions, but I know we're running out of time.
Let me see if we can at least give justice to you, Dr. Fraser.
Okay, everybody's unmuted.
I say.
Thank you.
You know,
We're gonna everybody to the background noise.
Please repeat, everybody, if you will.
This is good. Just
I think I have an applause thing on my piano, so let's go.
okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, fellow participants and colleagues, you see why I didn't waste words to try introducing Dr. Fraser. The video you saw and the words you've heard speak justice for itself. Africa has leadership. Africa has human capital. It is the most humbled experience for the Africa's Brain Bank to have Dr. Fraser by himself participate at this event. We had very much hoped that it would have been a physical event, but the virtual atmosphere that we all live in now forced us to do this way. And despite all the commitment on his table, all the various engagements that he could have been part of, he chose to come and speak to the Brain Bank today. And the board of directors of the Brain Bank, in my capacity as the chair, want to very sincerely and as loud with our voice as we can extend it, thank him so much for honoring us, not only with his presence, but by having prepared such strong remarks for our audience. We value it very much.
Thank you.
He mentioned that he may take a few questions. Maybe I should just let a few questions come in for the benefit of our audience who are here before we go to the next item, which I will still invite Dr. Fraser to just hang on until we conclude with him. If there are any questions, post them in the chat or indicate with your hand.
I'd like to ask a question of the audience. This is so important to me. What was there a particular thought or idea that resonated with you the most? What was your takeaway? Because that's the most important thing. The takeaway, the remembrance of a particular thought idea that you will get passionate about and act on. That was the point of the talk. Am I clear?
I suppose you are, and everybody heard it. Participants are muted. Please indicate, and we'll let you give your response to Dr. Fraser's question. Indicate by a show of hand, and we'll get you to comment. Mr. Jones, your hand is up. Our ambassador.
Dr. Fraser, and words are not sufficient. I've known him for a few years now, And what's I think is very key about his speeches, he came right in the line of what we were discussing today. African and those of us, the unity between those of us in the diaspora and our brothers and sisters on the continent. And we all agreed today that that must happen. So Dr. Fraser, as always, I love you. Thank you, dear brother, for your words and your spirit. And I'm gonna shut up and let others who never spoke to him before go ahead and speak.
See, Mr. Lance, I did not even know.
Right.
Right. I got on when I was supposed to get on, and I didn't even know that that was a discussion. I just felt it in my heart that it had to be with the incredible idea of the African Brain Bank.
Divine
Right.
intervention.
Right. Yes.
If I may.
Thank you, Brother George. I'm going to go ahead and mute.
If I may, please, participants, be very concise and precise in your response. To honor you and not cut somebody off, make it less than 1 minute, please, so we can go around. Mr. Joseph, please. Is it Joseph who signed up?
Yeah, he needs to unmute. He needs to unmute.
All right. Okay. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Cool. Dr. Fraser, I am flabbergasted. I am out, totally, completely out by your knowledge, by your experience. The words that came out of you is the most reassuring. It is very inspiring and rejuvenating. What I retained from your talk that hit home was the response of the late J. Edgar Hoover, who responded to the greatest threat that America faced when posed that question was Black unity. Therefore, he having said that, it means it's a clearing call for all Black folks in Africa and in the diaspora to do what he feared: unite.
That's right.
Thank you. I have very limited 1 minute, so I'm not going to go beyond that.
Well said.
Try to respect.
Well said.
Thank
That's
you.
exactly right. It's no more complicated than that.
Please keep your 1 minute, please. In this order, if you don't mind. Professor Olushola, Professor Kevin Jabo, next.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Give me a minute. I'm trying to find Professor Olusola so he can unmute. Dr. Kumba, give me a minute. I didn't know he was. Actually, I can't see Professor Olusola.
Let me unmute him. Let me ask him to unmute. I can do
Yeah,
that.
please unmute him. Yes.
All right, he's good.
Fraser, I'm calling from Accra, Ghana, and this is my first time of listening to you. Every word every statement you made appears to be very important to me. But one of them is this: you said the 3 most productive aspects of your life. I've taken note of those productive years, and I think that it's a message to all of us that the future is just beginning. The future is now. Thank you.
That's right.
The
best is yet to come.
You're just starting now the AAU. You haven't done anything yet. All your
We are going to help him.
All right, Professor Kevin Jabo, please.
Okay, thank you very much for this. It was really inspirational just hearing Dr. Fraser speak. And what I want to ask him, it's something that I ask myself every day. If you see, most of us, or the institutions that we create, have the tendency of working in silos. Like we always work, so we have the tendency of just duplicating efforts instead of complementing each other. How do we make sure that we identify and work together as a team? If we need to get results done, we need to make sure we're speaking the same language.
Yes. It's a wonderful question, Kevin. We must inspire them that is not the way. That is not the way. We've been doing that for 400 years. That is not the way. The way is to unite, to find common ground, to learn, earn, and return, to become part of something bigger than yourself, and to contribute, to be a piece of the puzzle, not you don't have to be the entire puzzle. You have to be a piece of the puzzle, and you must do that with excellence. And then you must understand, all of us must understand the answer to the most important question ever asked. What is the meaning of life? And the answer to that question, in case no one has told you, life has no meaning. You have meaning, and you bring it to life. So it is crazy to ask the question when in fact we together are the answer. So you must speak this into our people. What did I say right at the beginning? Everything begins with words. So the right combination of words at the right time will shift the paradigm. Working in silos will destroy us. Jews do not work in silos. Asians do not work in silos. Chinese people do not work in silos. So that will be the death of us. And this is why, over time, Africa must unite. And those in the diaspora must unite with them. It is the answer. It is as clear as we are watching each other. And until such time as we do that, we inspire those who are working in silos to connect the dots. We will not get where God wants us to go. We are God's first people. We were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves, eating each other. We are a powerful people, except that we have been taught we are not. That's stinking thinking. And we have to rid ourselves of that. Silos is a reflection of that. Divide and conquer. As a principle, a basic principle of conquering, divide. Now, when we get old enough and wise enough to understand that, we will change that. There are signs. It's already beginning to change. Do you think the world wants Africa to unite with 70% of the most important minerals on the freaking planet? Do you think they want them to unite? No. Then we must do exactly what they don't want us to do. They understand. But that's on us. They're not going to do it for us. We will do it when we lead.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll take one last, please, for the interest of time. I understand how it generates a really enthusiasm. One last comment, please. 1 minute. Helen.
Please unmute yourself, Helen. Kindly unmute yourself. Yeah.
Greetings. Thank you so much, Dr. Fraser. Such an honor, sir. And I appreciate everything you said. And the thing that resonated most to me that you said, and you just kind of reiterated it just then, is when you spoke about how when God is getting ready to do a move in your life, he places these obstacles there. And that the key is understanding that the obstacle is the way.
That's right.
That was so powerful to me because it's so true, first of all. And I think we have been an obstacle for each other. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So the idea of collaborating and coming together, we got to get past, the differences that we are, which is we're not different. We're very much the same, be it titles or where we're from in the world. I'm from, North Carolina, but I know my home is Africa. I know
That's
that.
right.
And I
Sure.
know who my brothers and sisters, I know who my family is.
Right.
But the divide that's been created and you know, people don't understand. I think somebody mentioned earlier that, you know, people are working for leadership that's not really working on our behalf, even in
Right.
Africa.
That's right.
That is devastating, you know, to know that you have these different agencies and organizations and all this talent and all this brain trust and people working in high tech and in areas where it can benefit us as a whole. But because of that leadership that's in place, they're not, it's not really benefiting us.
That's right.
So that's an obstacle and
That's
not
right.
really sure how to overcome that. I'm very willing. I'm a willing vessel. I'm here. So I just hope that we can come together and bring all of our resources together and make things happen for us. And like you said, teach the young and the next generation that's important to learn and earn and then return.
That's right.
That's something I've never heard that before. That
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. So that's something that's going to stay with me.
The three very quick things, and I'm through because we got to get off of here.
Yeah.
Bam. You got the essence of the entire talk. The obstacle is the way. What is the biggest obstacle Black people face? Each other.
Yeah.
Us. We are the biggest obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
We must fix that. That's on us. We must earn, learn, and return. We must all become race men and race women that we ought to take our time, talent, and treasure in the investment and upliftment of our own people first. I didn't say only, I just said first. As every other cultural group on the planet does. So thank you for saying that. That was a profound observation. That is the essence of the entire talk. We can fix that. My request of this august body is to take the recording of this video and put it up on YouTube. Only 42 people saw it.
Yes. Oh, there are people watching on Facebook.
Right. Plus there are people on Facebook, but put it on YouTube.
Yes.
So it is present and available for anybody who wants to see it for 100 years.
Yes.
Because the essence of the talk will not change. This has been the conversation for 100 years already, at least. So share it and emphasize it. Finally, life, brothers and sisters, is on the edge. That's where life is. It's on the edge. So we must go to the edge and then jump off and then grow our wings on the way down. We must live life on the edge. God knows that. He is pushing us to the edge. We must have the courage to jump. And if the fish stinks, look to the head. It's leadership, leadership, leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fraser. It's been an honor. The Africa's Brain Bank, one of his signature items is to feature speakers like Dr. Fraser at our events to inspire Africa's brains across the globe. And in that inspiration as well, recognize the kind of work that he has given his lifetime to on behalf of Africa. Not only the work, but the achievements he succeeded in bringing to bear. You heard him earlier mention how large his nation is, the Fraser Nation. I would invite our participants to Google that up and see what it's all about. 1.2 million members in its database, who in turn influence over 20 million people. There's hardly any wonder you can imagine in the modern African-American world, or African world altogether. We know there are a few billionaires on the block, from the Dangotes on the continent to the Oprahs in the US. But there are very few who can claim how much of Black America's middle class they have helped create. The wealth that circulates in Black America, that gives us the means to send our children to school, to feed our families, to live quality life, to give back to Africa when the time comes and we donate $1 here or there, to just make us part of the global quality community. The wealth that take us from sharecroppers and slaves to a seat on the table. The wealth that must circulate if we are about to have anything that would give practical meaning to this conversation. There's hardly any one single individual who has leveraged his capabilities as much as Dr. Fraser to provide the middle-class businesses, the wealth that revolves around it, as to empower ultimately beyond fist in the air to bread on the table, Black America. And for all that work empowering the African world, the Africa's Brain Bank thought it wise not to let Dr. Fraser go just after his comments, but to please accept one of our most signature awards that we could ever give anyone we can think of on the globe on behalf of Africa. The Africa's Brain Bank has created the Africa's Brain Power Award, of which we would like to present the very first one to Dr. Fraser.
Thank you. Wow.
Skipper, you got an applause?
Wow. Wow.
Skipper.
Yes, so.
This is power we're talking about. When we say power, we talk of political power. When we say power, usually we think of political power, raw military power, all sort of power. But ultimately, we know that since the rise of capitalism, since Karl Marx described this for us, that the ultimate power lies in those who control the economy.
That's right.
No one else has empowered Black America than Dr. Fraser.
That's right.
So rightfully, we award him the Africa's Brain Power Award. We're in a virtual setting, but with all our optimism and as humbly as we can, we would hope that next year, the COVID would have given way for us to be able to meet physically. And avant propos, very humbly suggest to Dr. Fraser to join us so we can give him the award in person.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you. I want you to create a flyer announcing that so that I could post it all over social media and give the African Brain Bank some visibility. Okay, something I can post however you want to design it and announce it. So I don't know of any other Black organization in the world, and I've spoken over 3,000 times, that has framed the most important. I'm searching for the word. Aspect of our upward mobility, and that is our brain power, our brain. Oh my God, our brain power. And you say it in your title. Awesome. Thank you.
So thank you very much. we don't let such a high note be followed by something that is not befitting of another higher note. We will now say to Dr. Fraser, thank you very much for joining us. We will say to our participants, keep your eyes on the Africa's Brain Bank effort, support it, publicize it, follow us on the social media. Let us be a household word, be part of this effort. Your various work in your various domains trying to work for Africa,
right,
are all encompassed in the Brain Bank. We are all Africa's brain.
Hi, I'm Morgan Freeman. Welcome to Africa's Brain Bank, the second annual fundraiser and meeting of leaders from across the globe. Before I go, I want to send a special thanks to my friend, Ambassador Lance Jones, and the board members of the Africa's Brain Bank for making this vision a reality. Please give to this most worthy cause, and remember, your donations are tax deductible.